Some words sound gentle, even thoughtful, but listen long enough and you'll feel the tension beneath them. A subtle pressure, a quiet erosion of your boundaries. What begins as affection can, if left unchecked, become a storm of confusion and self-doubt. Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychologist, named it the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves that we bury, suppress, or deny. These parts don't vanish. They leak out in our tone, in the choices we make, and in how we interact with others. And in relationships, when a man has not confronted his shadow, it doesn't vanish, it gets projected onto you. In this video, I'll uncover 5 phrases that may seem harmless at first, but are actually signposts that someone's unresolved inner darkness could soon become your emotional burden. These aren't just red flags. They are warning lights from the unconscious, both his and maybe even yours. You're too sensitive. At first, this phrase might feel like feedback. Maybe you were upset. Maybe you did react strongly. But look deeper. This isn't an observation. It's a dismissal. Carl Jung taught that the things we criticize in others are often reflections of what we can't accept in ourselves. So when a man tells you you're too sensitive, it may be less about your feelings and more about his discomfort with emotion, especially vulnerability. This expression is a defense mechanism, a psychological boomerang. It takes the onus off of his words or actions and puts it on your response. And then over time, you begin to second-guess yourself. Was I really overreacting? Should I just toughen up? But let's not equivocate about it. Sensitivity is not a flaw. It's awareness. It's emotional intelligence. And when it's weaponized against you, it's a sign you're being asked to lead with your wisdom so that you can subordinate yourself to his emotional avoidances. You're imagining things. This phrase is one of the most common tools of subtle gaslighting, and it can be incredibly disorienting. Maybe you noticed a shift in tone, a strange message, a suspicious omission. When you bring it up, hoping for honest dialogue, he brushes it aside. You're imagining things. It sounds innocent, but it's dangerous. Carl Jung believed that our perception is often more accurate than we give it credit for, especially when it comes from intuition. The moment someone tries to sever your connection to that inner wisdom, they're not just dismissing your thoughts, they're undermining your sense of reality. Here's a simpler way to understand. If you stop trusting what you feel is right, it becomes easier for someone else to tell you what to think. You might believe things that don't seem true to you just because you stop trusting your own feelings. You're lucky I put up with you. This one may seem like a joke. Maybe it's said with a grin, a chuckle, but listen closely. There's a power play hidden in the punchline. This phrase isn't just passive-aggressive, it's a form of emotional debt creation. It implies that your value is negotiable, conditional, and worse, that he's doing you a favor by staying. Carl Jung spoke of the wounded ego, the part of us that craves superiority to mask deep inferiority. A man who needs to remind you of how generous he is by staying with you is often fighting feelings of inadequacy by trying to lower yours. Sometimes, if someone says unkind things or you feel sad, you might start to believe that maybe you're not easy to love. You might also think that you should be more thankful for what you have. Love isn't a transaction, and respect isn't earned by comparison or condescension. A man who truly respects you doesn't keep a scoreboard. You shouldn't just be okay to others. You should be loved, appreciated, and noticed for who you are. Fine, do what you want. It sounds like permission, but it's a trap. What this phrase actually means: I don't agree with what you're doing, I just refuse to talk like an adult. It's a weaponized withdrawal that's calculated to leave you feeling guilty, confused, and anxious. Carl Jung warned of indirect hostility, the ways in which our unconscious shows up when we can't deal with conflict face-on. This is the shadow's sulk. And if you react with guilt, will you cancel your plans to not upset him more? He's won. You've eaten his emotional pain and made it your own. but you're not responsible for someone else's inability to speak directly. And that's the truth here. Words matter, but intent matters more. Cold permission isn't the same as supportive freedom. In a healthy relationship, you don't have to decipher meanings. You don't have to earn the right to be yourself. These words may feel small, even innocent, yet each is a thread in a much larger pattern. A pattern in which you get smaller and less sure, less grounded in your own truth. You weren't created to bear some fool's shadow. You're here to walk with someone whose light complements yours, whose wounds don't weigh you down, and whose love doesn't require that you lose your soul. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." So what say you? Are you referring to this relationship as fate? Or is it just another person's collective unconscious darkness drawing you into a story that was never yours to play out? Your peace, your clarity, your worth, they are not negotiable. If any of these statements sounded familiar, none is a red flag of failure. It's a sign of awakening. Tell us your experience in the comments. Then healing starts immediately when we call the hidden something and walk away from it, if it is no longer serving us. And don't forget, it's perfectly okay to be that woman who picks herself. She's sovereign. So if this video inspired you to take just a little piece of your truth back, like it and subscribe for more insight on emotional freedom, conscious love, and the psychology that protects your peace. Stay grounded, stay clear, and never, ever forget that your value will not be questioned.